everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Talkin Movies. As always, I'm your host, the real Geno Reynolds, and today we're going to be talking about the World War I Golden Globe winning film 1917. Now, I'm going to say this, I'm going to do my best not to spoil this movie for anybody, because any little thing I give you that happens throughout the movie, plot-wise, might ruin the surprises for you, and I'm not gonna do that to you. I like this movie too much, and I like what this movie did too much to ruin it for anybody else. It just needs to be experienced. The story needs to be experienced. While the mission these guys are on is extremely difficult, the story itself is fairly simplistic. So if I have to say this, I highly recommend it. If you're not into war films, you might not like it. I'd say that'd be the only real caveat. I think this story it's simple, and it's a simple story dealing with a huge mission that these two soldiers are given, and just the little things that happen throughout it it hits a lot of emotions, and I really dug it a lot. So I do recommend it highly. So yeah, that's if you don't want anything else spoiled, I'll leave it there. And again, I'm not going to spoil the movie the best I can, but I do have to talk about some things about the acting and how the film was shot and everything. So if you don't want any of that stuff spoiled, now's the time to tune out. Still with me? All right. What this movie is about, it's about two soldiers, two British soldiers during World War I. They're given a mission where they have a day to get to the front of what's going to be a huge battle, where the British think they have Germany on the run. They think they're going to end the war. And they are given this task to go stop this assault, because the Germans are setting a trap for them, and it's going to be a slaughter of like 1,600 soldiers. The Germans want the British to come, so it's up to these two young soldiers to end up crossing what what could be still German-occupied territory to go stop this assault, to go deliver this message to stop the assault. Okay, first things first about this movie, the way it's shot. It's one of those movies that tries to be like make it look like it's at least at least for the long part of the movie, one big long tracking shot, like you've seen in Birdman or something like that. Where you do find yourself playing spot the cut, like I did with Birdman and a few others that have come out in the last few years. But I will say that the way they did it in this, yeah, you may spot a few cuts here and there where it's like, there's the cut, there's that one. You'll find yourself doing that, but it doesn't ruin the movie at all or anything. They do such a good job at doing these long tracking shots and fooling you, quote unquote, fooling you, of where they have to make cuts, that it doesn't matter. If you spot one, it's just like, you're so invested in the characters and their mission and the story as a whole, that any minor, that's where they must have cut it moment doesn't bother me at all. So fantastic job there. I love the way this movie shot. I love the way it looks. I love the costume design. There's really nothing with the way this movie looks that I disliked. The way everything just comes together just is fantastic. I love kind of the dull color of the whole movie. Just every little thing makes it helps to bring you into the movie. It makes you feel like you're there with these two soldiers as they're going on this mission. The acting itself is really phenomenal. You don't have a lot of quote-unquote known actors in this. You have Dean Charles Chapman, who most people will know from Game of Thrones. He was Tommen. And the other guy that was in it, George McKay, I really don't recognize him from really anything. It says here he's in Captain Fantastic. It's been a while since I've seen that movie, so I can't say I really remember him from that. But, if I've seen him in anything, it's that. So the main leads, uh, for the most part, they're the ones on the screen for the movie. These are the two guys you're following. Yes, they run into other people. Yes, they run into, you've seen in the trailer, they run into a few named actors. There's a couple that you haven't seen yet, that they run into. So one of them I was really happy to see. You hear a voice, and you really, if you're a fan of this guy, you recognize that voice, and I loved it when he showed up. And so, you don't have a lot of name actors in this, so really you're following these two relative unknowns, and they both do a fantastic job at keeping you invested in the story. Because when they're traveling, they're just talking like guys. They're telling stories, and it ain't all we have to drive the plot forward type conversations. It's, they're telling, they tell some story about how one of the soldiers in their group hurt his ear, and they kind of tell a funny story about that, and just little things like that. They talk about their families and all sorts of things. And I like that they just kind of kept the conversation simple, but also, even when these conversations and stuff are going on, the tension is all there with these characters. So you can tell that while they're telling these stories and everything, they're still kind of not at ease, because you just never know when they're going to get shelled by the Germans. So they both do a really good job at driving the story forward. And then when you do run into someone you do know, it kind of reminded me in a way of The Thin Red Line, when you would run into a known actor, like that movie. Someone would run into a known actor, playing just this bit part, and that kind of happens in this too, because the known actors in this aren't in it very much, and it just and they all do a really good job, so it brings a little bit of weight to the acting for those segments, and I like that. But then again, the two main characters do a fantastic job at driving the story forward themselves, with just their facial expressions and their body language, just the way they are. They seem like good friends, and these two guys, these two characters are good friends, because they do get into a conversation of where one of them asks the other one, "Why did you choose me for this mission?" And it's like, I trust you. First of all, he's just like, I didn't know it was going to be this, but you can tell that they have a trust for each other and a brotherhood for each other, and I really like that. There's not much more to say about this movie. I love the way this movie looks. I love the acting. Just like Just Mercy, this one is going to be an early candidate for Best Film of the Year for me. Would I call it my favorite film? I don't know. But I really did like this movie, and it is a really good movie and probably one of the best of the year. So it's probably going to make that shortlist. And again, we are right at the beginning of the year, and you never know what else is coming out, what else is going to stick out. But really, for a January, I'm quite happy that I've gotten to see two of the best movies of the year in the last couple weeks. So, I highly recommend 1917. I really don't want to say much more about it. I love the way it's shot. I love the way it looks. I really like the acting. Again, there's one name actor that when they pop up, I loved it, because it's just someone I really like. And I didn't know they were in it. So just there's lots of stuff in this movie, and I wish I could talk about some of the story, but it's like, if I talk about it, then you're going to know things, and I'll ruin it for you, and I can't do it. Just some things happen in this movie that bring out the feels. You have things. I mean, there's some happiness in this movie. There's some sadness in this movie. There's just seeing this stuff going on, this war going on, the race against the clock. Everything in this movie I really enjoyed, and it's probably going to be make the short list of one of the best movies of 2020. That's going to be all for this edition of Talkin Movies. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Real Geno YouTube channel. Like this video. If you have anything to say about 1917, please keep it as spoiler free as possible. Feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Until next time, I'm your host, the Real Geno Reynolds. See you later.